When Rezael was first revealed, we were all skeptical how good the Divine skill actually is, and if a deck can be built around it, or if it's just a card that can be slotted into other Cater Sanctuary decks. It turns out that the deck is pretty good, and running just generic good Cater cards may be better than people give it credit for. Let's break down all the cards that support this deck, and I'll also provide a sample deck list at the end. Let's start with the Fated One of Miracles, Rezael. Auto on Vanguard Circle, when this unit attacks the Vanguard, cost CB1, choose up to 2 cards from your drop with different grades and a total grade less than or equal to the number of cards in your damage zone, and call them to Rearguard Circle. Divine Skill, act on Vanguard Circle, cost Soul Blast 1, return all critical from your drop to the deck and shuffle it, and this unit gets Drive +1 until end of turn. Until end of this fight, you cannot ride units without Rezael in their card names, and you get when your damage check reveals a trigger unit other than heal. If your damage zone has 5 or more cards, choose a card from your damage zone, heal it, and you lose its ability. The Divine Skill on this card is very interesting. It's high risk, high reward. The more we wait out on this effect, the more crits we get to shuffle back into our deck. But sometimes we just don't have the luxury to wait that long, and we have to try getting the additional heal effect for the next turn. Do note that the heal effect stays active for the rest of the game until it happens. This effect is very generic and can be slotted into a variety of Cater Sanctuary decks for the endgame. It might just be worth it to ride into this, even if it disrupts our main strategy just to get a bunch of crits back into our deck when we are low on cards. Since we have to call units with different grades, the optimal damage to be at is set 3, to call a strong column of a 2 and a 1, or 5 damage so we can call a grade 3 and a 2 to make the most of our attacks. However, having a strong column for just a 4th attack to set up our later turns is not a bad thing either. Let's see what the rest of the ride line has to offer. Wings of Aspiration Soul is the starter for this deck. It's a typical go second draw 1, doesn't really matter what starter you run for this particular deck, just pick one that you like. And a grade 1, Patrol Gus Ventesta reads, Auto, when this unit is rolled upon by a Knight of Great Events Ascensier, call this card to Rearguard Circle and Soul Charge 1. Continuous on Rearguard Circle, during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Rezael in its card name, this unit gets power plus 2k. I like this effect because a lot of our cards utilize the Soul, and having a 10k booster that calls itself out without costing us its Soul is pretty relevant, especially considering we might be calling 2 attackers out with Rezael, so just having something to make our numbers bigger is always appreciated. Moving on to the grade 2, Knight of Great Events Ascensier. Auto, when this unit is rolled upon by a grade 3 card with Rezael in its card name, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card from your drop and call to Rearguard Circle. I like this card a lot. This allows me to discard 1 card freely. It lets me plan ahead on my grade 3 turn during my discard phase. I can also be more aggressive in the early game, knowing I can get the value back with this card. I also see people running the Elden Ride line. Yes, it's more value, we get to grab useful units from our deck and deck thin at the same time, but I think the risk of this effect not going off from not having 3 cards of different grades is too big of a trade-off to justify using this ride line. I would much rather have a consistent grade 1 and 2 effect that I can for sure use. Now let's take a look at the supporting cards, starting with Knight of Gentle Beauty, Nobia. Auto, when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Rezael in its card name, cost CB1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less card from among them, call to Rearguard Circle, and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. If it's your battle phase, reveal it and put it into hand instead of calling it. Auto on Rearguard Circle, when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Rezael in its card name, cost Soul Blast 1 and this unit gets power plus 10k until end of that battle. This card is great for helping us generate card advantage. It's great as a setup card during our main phase to call an additional attacker or booster, but also decent when called out during the battle phase to accumulate more value, whether that be to find more shield or persona ride for next turn. It sucks that we can't call a unit with this during the battle phase, but I really like the power gain for just a Soul Blast, making it a competent attacker on its own without needing a booster. Next up, we have Aerial Sage. Continuous on Rearguard Circle, during the battle this unit boosted, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Rezael in its card name, this unit gets power plus 5k. Auto on Rearguard Circle, when this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Rezael in its card name, cost discard a card from hand, countercharge 1, and this unit gets power plus 2k until end of that battle. I love the number this unit provides. When we call a 2-1 column with Rezael, it will be a minimum 23k swing. If we instead choose to call it behind Vanguard, it will be a minimum 28k swing, both of which are magic numbers. The countercharge is also much needed, since both Rezael and Nobia require counterblasts. Moving on, we have Gigantic Masher. Continuous on Rearguard Circle, if your unit was placed on Rearguard Circle by the ability of your Vanguard with Rezael in its card name this turn, this unit gets power plus 15k. This is pretty much a guaranteed 28k swing. It doesn't have to be the one called out by Rezael's skill, you just have to have caught something for this to get the power boost. I guess this is a decent finisher, but if we just want a grade 3 to be caught up by Rezael's skill, I think Sadras is a better card. So those are all the direct support for Rezael. Because Cater has so many strong generic cards, I think we should build around them to increase the value we're getting off of Rezael's skill. One of the best cards for this deck is Selgon. You get to filter your deck pretty much every turn even if you only see one of these. After we retire for the cost, we just get to call it out again next turn using Rezael's skill. This card helps us dig deeper into our deck and grab whatever we need. We can also use it for early push. After it retires itself, we can get it back with a Sensier. Another powerful card we can run is Forefront Knight Teethfold. This is also just another solid attacker to be called out from Rezael's skill. Power gain doesn't even have a cost. And to make use of the first effect, we should be running some orders. One thing you may have noticed is that there's no retire in this deck, so having orders also guarantees Selgon's effect can go off. We got a new powerful generic normal order in the set, Warrior's Rest. Play this with cost Energy Blast 2. Choose 2 of your units and they get continuous on Vanguard Circle and Rearguard Circle. During a battle this unit was boosted, this unit gets power plus 10k until end of turn. If you have 5 or more units, draw a card. For just 2 energy that we get back every turn passively, we get 20k worth of extra power and a card draw on top of it. Pretty good. Another great order for this deck that you can consider running is Wisdom of Beginning that Cleared the World. Basically CB1, draw 2, and call 2. Really good at helping us fill the board. This card can also chain itself with Teethfold, which makes having a full board that much easier. We can also run the new cycler, Divine Sister Biscotti. Auto, when this card is put on Guardian Circle from hand or discarded from hand while riding from the right deck, cost CB1 or Energy Blast 3 and draw a card. Auto, when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, if you Persona roll this turn, cost CB1 or Energy Blast 3, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it on the top of the deck, and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. If it's not the battle phase, you may call it instead of putting it on the top of the deck. It's better than the old cycler for our deck, not only because we can't afford to Soul Blast, the second skill is also quite useful, to look at the top cards and call a unit if we need to. While this deck is very prone to removal, we can also set up our board with ease every turn, given the amount of units that call out other units. The one downside of this deck is that there's no cards to help us retire enemy units, so something our opponent may have that gains passive value in the back row will just get to be there. This deck is very easy to pilot and probably one of the best decks to come out from set 1. And here's a simple deck list. I just like the blue OT more to get back whatever piece we might need, and we're also running the Wisdom order to get the most out of our cards. What do you guys think about Rezael? What types of support do you want to see be given to this deck so that we don't just rely on good cater cards? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you all next time.